Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jack Atkinson, and I'll be speaking about leaving the comfort zone. So I'm a cadet here at Purdue in the Army ROTC, and so I didn't really know I would be speaking today until just last week. Actually, Sergeant Huff, who's back there, he pulled me aside just last Wednesday and asked me to speak. So apparently, the cadet who was supposed to be speaking had an exam conflict, and so when Jesus here, he tried to email Sergeant Huff, he actually emailed the wrong one. So a couple weeks went by, there was no speaker. Luckily, Jesus followed up and finally got it figured out. And so by that time, I really had less than a week to prepare. I had a linear algebra exam to study for and a 4-day field training exercise to go on. So I was feeling really crunched, really stressed about this event. Then I started to realize, when has leadership ever really been comfortable? In my experience, my short experience of 2 years now, just being a leader, the answer is usually never. So hopefully by sharing some of my uncomfortable experiences with you today, you'll have a better understanding of what it feels like to be a leader. So the lessons I remember most clearly are more from my failures and not from my successes. Most of these lessons were learned when I joined the Army after my senior year of high school. I've been a drumline captain for 2 years, and I felt pretty comfortable about my leadership skills. And really, that was because I'd won a couple of first place awards, so I kind of had an idea of what a leader was. But that all really started to change when I joined the Army. I was shipped off to basic training at Fort Benning, and the drill sergeants really showed me what leadership was actually like. They were tearing into us, making us run everywhere in really hot Georgia heat. They were making us do push-ups every time we made a mistake, which was very frequently. And so they were tearing us down to our foundation so that they could really start building up from the bottom. Some of the lessons they made us endure were really awful. One of them was the infamous gas chamber, where they teach you to trust your equipment. Once inside this gas chamber, they have you remove your gas mask and inhale some of the same gas that they use to disperse riots, actually. So your eyes are stinging, your skin is burning, your throat is on fire, and I really felt like I was going to be sick. Then actually they let you out, and after a few minutes of kind of gagging and choking, you start feeling fine again. And then you start to realize it really wasn't all that bad. Like, I could endure this really horrible thing. And then you start realizing, like, the human mind and the human body can endure a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. So really, those experiences and those like it have made me tougher and more confident to take on more challenging things in my life, knowing that I've already endured a lot. While I was at Fort Benning, I quickly learned that there were different levels of leadership. There were the appointed leaders, like the platoon sergeant, but then there were also the leaders who had no position, had no rank, but they were really the leaders that drove the platoon. They consistently displayed leadership in the way they interacted with each other. They would take initiative, they would volunteer for details that would mean sacrificing their sleep or sacrificing their other things. They took initiative and they offered advice to other soldiers who were less experienced. And most of the time they went unrecognized by the drill sergeants, the cadre, and they received no decorations for their actions, but they definitely contributed directly to the success of the platoon. After I left Fort Benning, I came to Purdue to study mechanical engineering, and I joined ROTC. For sure, the physical pain of training was a lot less, but being a leader still meant stepping out into unfamiliar situations with people I mostly didn't know. There were opportunities to serve others all over the place and be a leader in the program, but many times it was scary and terrifying. I'd be scared to fail and be embarrassed. I'd be scared that I would freeze up under pressure and say the wrong things. But then I started to realize that that's really the whole point of leadership and growing. In order to learn what it feels like to lead, you must put yourself somewhere where you aren't completely confident. If you don't, you struggle to grow in your leadership. If you aren't willing to sacrifice your time and your sleep and possibly embarrass yourself along the way, you would never really allow yourself or give yourself room to grow. Thankfully, Purdue is a great place to fall down sometimes because there's so many caring hands ready to just pick you back up and get you on your way. And I laugh because a lot of the time the instructors here in the cadre have been leading longer than I've been alive. So some of the opportunities I've been involved with in ROTC have tested my discipline and my commitment. I've completed several ruck marches. Some of them were 18.6 miles. Another one was a half mile. And these events would leave me completely spent physically and mentally afterwards. But I would leave with such a great sense of achievement of meeting those goals that I set for myself. I also became a member of the ROTC Color Guard, where you have to be so incredibly accurate and precise with all your movements. One of the events was in front of a football stadium filled with literally thousands of people, and there was a lot of pressure and stress in that. But I'm glad I did that because it was a great opportunity to serve my to give back to those who have served. And despite the fear of failing, I'm glad I pushed myself to do those extra things. This semester I was appointed to be a squad leader, which is uncommon for being a young sophomore. But I've been learning so much by just being thrown into positions where I'm not comfortable or I don't feel ready to take on that challenge yet. I just can't tell you how many opportunities I've had by being in the Army, being in ROTC, to really grow and be uncomfortable a lot of times. I know for certain that now I'm more mentally stronger. I'm a more caring leader because of those challenges and hardships I've endured. So I could have easily decided to just pursue mechanical engineering, maybe join like a club on the side, but instead I decided to join the Army as well. It was something completely different, completely unfamiliar to me. A lot of times I was very uncomfortable and pushed to my limits physically and mentally. I failed many times, but I always got back up and kept moving. But now I want to ask you, what would it look like for you to step out in your life and become a leader? How far are you willing to step out of your comfort zone so that you may grow in your own leadership? Thank you.